Morning everybody, welcome back into the brew house. So it's the 15th of April today, which means Grand National Day in the UK. Apologies to anybody back in Cocoa Beach, because that's the one that I'm putting my money on. So that's pretty much cursed that one from the start. Now, today we're doing the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I was catching up on all the episodes of the Hop Edition podcast. And they did mention the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale in one of the episodes, and it's a beer that I think lots of us, when we first start getting away from your Carlins and your Stellas, it's always readily available in every single supermarket, and it's been around for over 40 years. So I think everybody's tended to maybe start the journey with the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I've never brewed one, but if you go onto the Sierra Nevada website, they are actually good enough to pretty much give you the recipe and any pointers that you might need. So I'm just going to get mashed in, and then I'll come back and we'll go through the recipe, have a look at it in a bit more detail. So now that we're all mashed in, I just thought I'd take a couple of minutes just to go through the actual recipe that we're going to be working from. Now, like I said, if you do go onto the Sierra Nevada website, then you can find pretty much all the information that you need to do a replica of this beer. So on this screen here you can see that it lets you know that you're aiming to get 38 IBUs, and you should be looking at getting 5.6%. Malts wise, just very basically lets you know that you're using caramelised malts and two-row with Cascade for your hops, and then ale yeast, which in this particular one will be the US-05 that we'll be using for our yeast. Now if you click onto this particular page here, and if you scroll down, this bit's just telling you all the history of the beer actually being developed and whatnot over the past 40 years. But if you get down to this bit, then just break down the recipe a bit more for you. So here we can see that you're looking at having 92% of your malt bill being pale malt, and then 8% of it being caramel malt. And then it does give you the hopping schedule here. Now obviously these particular amounts that they're giving here are not what we're going to be going with, because we know that we're working to the 38 IBUs that it says that this recipe should come out at. Now, taking all this information, popping over to Brewzilla, these are actually the numbers that it's come up with for me. So for us to be getting at that 5.6% volume, and for the 1053 original gravity, then it's looking at adding 4.65 kilogram of pale Maris otter malt, and then 400 gram of crystal malt for me. And then the hopping schedule wise, to make sure that we hit the 38 IBUs, we'll be going with 10 gram of Cascade for a 90-minute boil. That's going to add 7.8 IBUs, and then the rest of the Cascade I'm using is actually a lower alpha acid, so I've had to mess around with the amounts that I'm using a bit more. But to get to the 38 IBUs, we'll then stick in 21 grams of Cascade in at 60 minutes to go, 20 grams of Cascade at 30 minutes to go, and then there is actually a 20-minute hop stand which we'll be doing at 80 degrees, and we'll be popping 56 grams of Cascade in at that point. That should get us to the 38 IBUs that we're after. So like I said, just wait for the mash to finish now, and then I'll get back with a bit more footage of the actual hop drops and whatnot. So things are progressing nicely. We've done the 60-minute mash and I've sparged up to 29 litres. This one's a 90-minute boil. We've already done the 90-minute hop edition, the 60-minute hop edition, and just done the half-hour edition. Need to put the world flot tablet in at 15 minutes with the work chiller, and then we've got a 20-minute hop stand. Fermenting this one out with USO 5. Now, it might take a while to get down to pitching temperature today. It's quite a nice day outside, which means that the water coming out the tap's going to be a bit warmer than what I'd like. So it'll take a while to get down to pitching temperature, but once we've got it all in the fermenter, I'll come back with the readings, hoping that this will be an original gravity of 1053 according to the recipe. But like I say, I'll be back once I've got the numbers, and then it'll just be a case of fermenting out, and then I'll be back with the tasting video. Right then, so here we are, and this is the actual Sierra Nevada that we have brewed. So, lovely kind of golden colour to it. As you'll have seen on the end of the video, it was supposed to be an original gravity of 1053, but mine actually came out at 1060. So what we're looking at is actually a 6.6% beer instead of a 5.6% one. On the nose, got a slight citrus to it, but predominantly for me it's got a bit of a sweet kind of smell to it, like the caramel malts you can smell coming off it. Something that's pretty much carried through on the taste of it as well. So yeah, there is a citrusy kind of note to it, slight piney kind of backbone to it as well, but I'd say it's got predominantly for me like the caramel running through it. The mouthfeel wise, kind of like slick, so like that sweetness, a bit like candy. It's kind of got that bit of a mouthfeel to it. Now, in comparison, we've actually got a bottle of the real stuff. So this is actually only 5.6%, but I thought I'd grab a bottle. Just wanted to be able to do like a colour comparison and see how mine matched up against it. Now, I'm pretty sure that mine will be darker than this one, which if we have a look, yeah, you can tell that this one's a tad darker. That's because of the crystal malts. I use crystal 60 because that's what I tend to always have in stock, whereas Sierra Nevada actually use a lower coloured crystal malt. So I did know that it was going to come out, mine being slightly darker. I did contemplate maybe changing the grain bill around just to get my colour to the same one, but I didn't want to really mess around with that 92%, 8% split that it told you to do on the website, so that's why I stuck, knowing that mine was just going to be a bit darker. Now, I'd say very similar on the nose as to my version. If anything, I'd say it smells a little bit sweeter than what mine does. I'll be honest, it's been a few years since I've actually had a Sierra Nevada pale ale, like a proper one out of a bottle. And as I've been drinking my original one for the past few days, I was like, surely that doesn't taste anything like what Sierra Nevada tastes like, because I used to remember Sierra Nevada being a bit more exotic-y when I first started getting into drinking proper beers. And this, whilst not, it's a million miles away from your Carlins and your Budweisers. Once you've got used to drinking a lot more hoppy beers and certainly like the tropical punchy kind of beers, that now seems very mundane. And so I thought maybe it's the way I brewed it. So let's find out. No, taste wise, pretty much identical. The main difference is definitely the mouthfeel. Well, you can see, I don't know whether you'll be able to make it out, but obviously these are in the same glasses, and that one has got a lot more carbonation streaming up than what my version there has. Makes a big difference in the mouthfeel. So yeah, like I said, mine's got a bit of a slick, like an oil slick kind of feeling on your tongue. This has not got it. But I do tend to find, I think anyway, that when you carve your beers up and do bottle conditioned, I do tend to prefer the carbonation that you get from it. Never tend to get the same kind of carbonation I'm after when I'm putting it on keg. And for me, I think that's literally the only difference to it. I'm happy with it. Slightly underwhelmed. I think I'd maybe got too much high hopes for Sierra Nevada. I obviously forgot what it tasted like. So slightly underwhelmed. It's a good beer. I'd probably score it like a 6.5 out of 10. But yeah, the recipe is bang on. It smells and tastes exactly like the original. It's just for me, the original's not as good as I remembered it being. But some carbonation from somewhere. But yeah, I'm happy I brewed it. Like I say, I've never brewed it before, and I think that everybody tends to brew a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale at some point. Not completely disappointed with it. Like I say, it is a good beer. It's just not what I was expecting from it. But anyway, I'll sit back. Summer has arrived. Sit back in the sun, finish my beers. But until next time, take care, everyone. Very quickly, there was something that I didn't mean to pick up on this video, and it completely slipped my mind. But that's in regards to why my beer finished at 6.6% when we were aiming for 5.6. Now, if you'll notice on my Brewfather profile, you'd have seen that it was down for a pre-boil volume of 31.5 litres, and that's just like the generic pre-plugged in settings on Brewfather for my particular machine. Now, there's no way that I would ever have a pre-boil volume of 31.5 litres. I know that the machine's called a Brewzilla 35 because it's supposed to be able to handle 35 litres, but in regards to boilovers and things, I tend to like the maximum I'll ever have in is 29.5. I can't remember whether this particular batch was 29 litres or 29.5, but I would never go up to that 31.5. It's got pretty close, even with me having like 29, 28.5 litres, it's got pretty close to having a boil over at times. I just don't see how it'd ever be safe really to have 31.5 litres in. But obviously, because that's how my setup is on Brewfather, it's throwing all the calculations out. Because essentially I've got 2 litres less than what it's expecting, which would very much be a major contributor as to why I've got a 6.6% one instead of a 5.6% one. So I'm going to go into the settings and make sure I knock that down, and hopefully in the future actually hit my numbers. But again, until next time, take care everyone.